Well everyone, it's finally time for what we've all been waiting for. The Crown Tundra DLC is finally here. And I know a ton of you guys have just been enjoying the game and just kicking back in the wintry paradise Game Freak has offered upon us. Now I decided that today we're going to go in and take a look at the top 10 strongest Pokemon added into Pokemon Sword and Shield as a way of celebrating the second DLC release. Now I know already what many of you guys may be thinking. Oh great, here he goes again with another top 10 legendary Pokemon. Thanks Mystic. Well guess what? Have no fear, because we're not counting any legendaries for this video, and strictly looking at pseudo-legendary Pokemon and lower. Now, I'm pretty sure I've discovered everything in the DLC at this point, so I'm confident in saying that this is a list made knowing all the Pokemon added in. So without any further ado, let's not waste any more time and get right into it. So starting off here at number 10 is a Pokemon that is a little surprising wasn't actually in Sword and Shield to begin with. I'm talking about Fatbat or Crobat, which is making a big return after being available in every single Pokemon game up to this point since its debut in Pokemon Gold and Silver. And naturally, its past evolutions, Zubat and Golbat, have been around since the very start. Considering the annoyance I'm pretty sure plenty of players have felt through the generations of constantly running into a Zubat in every cave they entered, it's really wild to think that we haven't had to deal with that in Sword and Shield up to this point. Though, with the addition of this guy, Sword and Shield sees a great poison type added to the mix. Crobat has base 130 speed and a pretty solid base 90 attack, and it still has some great moves to pull out, like Cross Poison, Acrobatics, Brave Bird, and of course Defog. Really, honestly, it's a capable special attacker too, with Nasty Plot available to it. And all in all, it's a fantastic Pokemon to add back to the competitive scene, and a fun Pokemon to pull out for a playthrough as well, especially considering how many best teams it's been on. So, coming up next on this top 10 is one of the many fossil Pokemon that got added, the 6th generation's Tarantum. I've spoken a bit about Tarantum before in videos, and I hold it in a pretty decent regard. So it's really cool to see it return to the games here within this DLC. Really, it's just very cool to see something that makes a lot of sense, like the return of fossil Pokemon. The United Kingdom has been a hotbed for fossils, and being that this is a cold place with mountains, it makes a lot of sense that there would be fossil Pokemon to be found. Tarantum is one of the best fossil Pokemon that has been added back in though, so it's really cool to see it make a return. It'll be yet another great Pokemon to come back in with, especially with Strongjaw and Rockhead being a great duo of abilities. Not to mention it also gets great Fang moves and also really cool coverage. Its 121 base attack and 119 defense are two of the better top stats of non-pseudos that we'll see on this list as well. So it's definitely something I could see appearing on some competitive teams of lower tiers and being quite the powerhouse. For this next one, how about we talk about another fossil? Aerodactyl is probably the best of the best in the fossil category that's been added back in. And even if Dracovish is the best of its subcategory of Pokemon, Aerodactyl is the best of the pre-Galar fossils. It's got a tremendous 130 base speed, just like Crobat, but it boasts better attack with base 105. Its abilities Unnerve, Pressure, and Rockhead each offer a unique option for Aerodactyl, depending on how you want to use it. And of course, it's got great stab rock options, like Stone Edge and Rock Slide, that'll take advantage of it big time. It's going to be a great Pokemon to just pull out during a playthrough for sure, and competitively, it still holds a place as a fast setup Pokemon with access to Stealth Rocks and a ton of coverage moves it can easily get through TMs and TRs. Alright, so next up, we have a favorite Pokemon of mine that I get to talk about. And let me tell you guys, I am stoked for this one to be back. We finally have back in the Crown Tundra DLC, Dragonite. Now this is just the first of a few pseudos on this list. And the fact is that while Dragonite might be at the bottom of the list of pseudos introduced in the DLC, it is still a top tier Pokemon and one of my favorites of all time like I mentioned before. Dragonite is still a big time physical attacker with 134 base attack and fantastic defenses at 100 special and 95 physical. And now in this gen, it has access to a bunch of TMs and TRs and some new moves, on top of benefiting from Dynamaxing. It's going to be able to use Scale Shot as well, which can be be a big deal move to help up its lagging 80 base speed to help bring it up to snuff with the other stats it has. Multiscale isn't going anywhere either, so Dragonite will still be able to take hits at full health rather well, meaning it'll still handle being hit with ice and fairy type moves to the best of its ability. As a fun little twist too if you wanted, Dragonite can also use Defog to get rid of hazards, and it also has really great setup moves like Dragon Dance, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have swept people with before in the past. It's a Pokemon that will offer some great usage and competitive alongside all the other pseudos, and something you could even have fun using in a playthrough of Sword and Shield 2, which I'm more than likely going to be using on my team, if I can use it, that is. So we will close out the bottom half of this top 10 with Nidoking, a returning Pokemon that I am incredibly happy to see back in the games. I've used Nidoking a ton of times on best teams throughout the years, and having it back and available really just makes me so excited. Nidoking is an absolute juggernaut on the battlefield, and it can serve a great purpose as both a physical or special attacker with decent speed to boot. The great thing about Nidoking though is that it has a hidden ability being Sheer Force. You guys already know how good Sheer Force is, so I won't bore you with the details of it. But when you combine it with the Life Orb, you've got a real force to be reckoned with in battle. It's going to be fantastic with its vast move pool into playthrough, offering coverage for so many leaders, and definitely been going through the Crown Tundra and Isle of Armor as well. Nidoking is such a fantastic Pokemon, and it being added in Sword and Shield is a big gain for the 8th generation. I cannot wait to get into the meta and destroy people with this thing. So starting off the top 5 here is one of the few starter Pokemon that got added into the games of this DLC, and it's Hoenn's Swampert. And yes, I do like Mudkips. As we all know full well, Swampert is a great Pokemon with a fantastic typing and stats. It's got a wonderful 110 attack stat and fantastic bulk, with 100 base HP and defenses both at 90 base. Swampert is going to be a Pokemon that takes hits really well in Galar, which I consider to be a region that is very friendly for water types, and also hits back with amazing stab moves like Earthquake and Waterfall. We can't forget about Flip Turn either, the water type equivalent of U-Turn that will work really well for Swampert. Considering Swampert's speed isn't fantastic, and it no longer will be able to Mega Evolve, having a move that will allow it to get out of battle but costs some damage first is great. The powerful moves that Swampert has at its disposal and its typing really helped it end up in the top 5. Another thing I also want to cover is that Swampert no longer has to worry about Hidden Power Grass. Hidden Power is gone, and now because of that, Swampert has become an even better Pokemon than it was before. So, we've already talked about one pseudo-legendary, and we're now going to be talking about a few more. For right now though, let's talk about Salamence, one of quite a few Hoenn Pokemon added into this DLC. Salamence is incredibly good and excellently balanced as an attacker, with great speed. It's got 135 base attack, 110 base special attack, and 100 base speed. All those coming together to turn into one of the best dragon types Pokemon's ever seen. And despite me not having Salamence as my favorite dragon type, I don't like its Mega, but I will say, regular Salamence is actually pretty cool. So if you're a Salamence fan out there, hey, I give you a high five. Salamence is dope. It's a much needed addition to Sword and Shield, even without its Mega. As its grand strength and access to several great moves, this push it over the top as an attacker. I think one thing that's important to remember when we talk about this Pokemon that can Mega Evolve before, is that even without the ability to do so, they remain good Pokemon on their own, just as they were before the 6th generation even came around. Salamence might have issues to deal with against Ice-type Pokemon, and of course some Fairy types as well, but it will still excel in battle with its great abilities Intimidate and Moxie. All in all, Salamence is very awesome to have back in the 8th generation, and honestly, despite not being my favorite, I'm stoked to use it. Way to go, Salamence. Now let's talk about the other 3rd generation pseudo. Metagross is back with this DLC, and there isn't really much I need to talk about here. I love Metagross, and I know most of you guys too. It's a really great Pokemon with a great duo of typings in Steel and Psychic. It's the Pokemon that will excel throughout the region with its typings and many options as an attacker, both physically and specially, but especially physically obviously. Its defenses are great too, but that really shouldn't be a surprise considering the fact that it's a Steel type. I don't really think I need to tell you guys any more on this one. Some of you might even believe it should be number 1, though I assure you, there are 2 Pokemon that even then are better. But with Metagross being in at number 3, that just goes to show you the absolute power that is in this DLC. It's time for the penultimate spot on this list, and it's reserved for Blaziken. It would have been a foregone conclusion that it was in the number 1 spot if Megas were in this generation, but unfortunately, it can't. You guys remember the story about how broken Mega Blaziken was, but even without that, you can expect it to still be super high in the metagame with this return. Blaziken will still go out there with base 120 attack and 110 special attack, and its speed, even being at base 80, will obviously immediately improve thanks to that hidden ability, Speed Boost. There are great stab moves that Blaziken will be able to make great usage of, like Flare Blitz and High Jump Kick, and even some new moves it got in the DLC that I haven't personally discovered yet. All in all, Blaziken is just phenomenal, and could have easily been at the top, but instead, we've got one last pseudo making its mark. The top Pokemon added back in with the Crown Tundra DLC is definitely Garchomp. We have 2 of the best typings available in Dragon and Ground, and it's definitely been given a move pool that makes the most of its stab and provides it with more than enough coverage for its weaknesses. It's got a base 130 attack stat, which is incredibly high, and even maintains good speed at 102 base, making it one of the best speedy physical attackers that aren't even legendaries. Garchomp is just tremendous as an attacker, with Earthquake and a whole bunch of other great stab options. To top it all off though, it also has great coverage moves that allows it to go toe-to-toe with Fairy and Ice types that do their best to try and take it out. There is just no denying the fact that on their own, no Mega involved, Garchomp is the best of the Pokemon we've listed off today. And it's going to find itself back in the competitive scene, no doubt, for the rest of Sword and Shield's run. And who knows, if we've got this Gen 4 remix soon, Garchomp might even change more. Also, Tank Chomp is also a really solid thing with Rocky Helmet. Definitely try that out as well. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this top 10. It's a little different from the usual ones I do, but I really believe these are the best Pokemon that have been added to Sword and Shield with this new DLC that aren't legendaries. It's great to have these Pokemon back, and honestly, I'm satisfied, but I'm still a little bit sad that we weren't able to have a lot of other Pokemon return. But honestly, at the end of the day, we gotta deal with what we gotta deal with. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream all sorts of games from Pokemon to Fire Emblem to Zelda and much more. I also have an anime channel called MysticSage, where I do anime reviews, rankings, and countdowns. So if you're interested in that kind of content, go ahead and check that out as well. If you want to support me even further and gain cool perks, check out my Patreon. These lovely people have all given me their support over there, and I couldn't be more grateful to them. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mystic Umbreon, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.